Hey Eurovision fans, it's Tom coming to you from Shanghai, back for another Eurovision reaction video. Today I'm going to be giving you my thoughts on the results of Eurojury 2022. Don't worry, I'll explain what that is, and I'll also talk about how this could give us an insight into what's going to happen in Eurovision 2022. So let's kiki. As always, I will leave timestamps in the time bar, and I'll also leave them in the description below. I'll just try and break it up into certain sections based on what I end up speaking about, just so in case you want to navigate to a particular part. In case you didn't see, yesterday I posted a video about the OGAE results. I decided to separate these videos. First of all, I'll explain what Eurojury is briefly for those who don't know. Eurojury is a jury-style vote that is done by Eurojury, which is a online Eurovision blog. I've only been following Eurojury since last year, but I did look up on the website and that it did start in 2013. So I believe this is 9th edition. By the way, if I get any of these facts wrong, please just correct me. I won't be able to correct it in the video. I will just have to correct it in the pinned comment, but let me know if I'm saying anything that's inaccurate. The way it works is they contact people from all the Eurovision countries and other countries who also aren't participating as well, such as Slovakia and Turkey. They're music professionals, so people who competed in national finals or in Eurovision itself or in Junior Eurovision or some connection to Eurovision or the music industry, and then they ask them to submit their votes. Obviously this is based on pre-rehearsal performances, so they largely have the same amount of information that we had before rehearsals. The juries are made up of groups. Sometimes it can be big. This year the biggest group was Malta. There was like 20 people on the Maltese jury because Malta's just really obsessed with Eurovision. But this year one of the countries only had one person. I can't remember which one it was, but I remember that the guy was from Junior Eurovision. So for example, this year most juries seem to have 2 or 3. Hungary only had 1. Italy only had, now that was interesting that Italy only had 1 as the host. I still am not like massively convinced that Italy in general as a country is hugely into Eurovision. Same with France. I don't really consider France being largely into it either. I think it was Serbia. They did, yes. The Eurojury for Serbia this year was the kid who represented them in Junior Eurovision in 2020. So I hope that he gave Spain points, because you definitely don't want that young kid. He didn't give Spain any points, so he's currently under witness protection because the Spanish Euro fans are coming after him because they didn't give their girl points. I'm just kidding, by the way, obviously. But yeah, so now, look, that you got to take it with a huge pinch of salt. The majority of the jurors are 2, 3 or 4 people, but this is something that they do themselves. It's a lot of work. I really appreciate the amount of effort that they put into doing it. What they do is, I feel like this gives us as close as we can get to a mock jury score going into pre-rehearsals. Now, I already alluded to yesterday, one of the interesting things is that when you have smaller numbers, it does give less popular songs that still have a fan base, but are not always going to be in the top, and it gives them a chance to shine. I really love this. And the way you can see this the most clearly is if you look at the results. I'm going to cover my face. I'm going to put all the results up here. Don't worry about all these numbers. I'm not expecting you to compute all this. The main thing I want you to look at is look how spread out all these votes are. They really are all over the place. There's a much bigger spread than the OGAE votes, which I will pop up afterwards. I'll do them one after another so you can kind of do a little comparison yourself. But you'll see in OGAE there's the same people getting votes a lot of the time. 5 countries in particular in the OGAE vote got votes from almost every single country. Whereas when you look at the Eurojury, where you have much smaller sample sizes in each country, there is literally not a single country which got votes from every single one. The country that won, spoiler alert, was actually the UK, which I'm going to talk about later because I thought this was quite exciting. But they got votes from everyone but 12 countries. I actually think that was the best. So it just shows you this is much different. And also you look at the OGAE, there were 12 countries that didn't get votes. In the Eurojury, there was only 1, and that was Romania, which is pretty devastating. I think they did not get a single point. So much bigger spread. I think it makes for a much more fun, exciting competition. Now, I do need to have a big disclaimer here, because the Eurojury, as Eurojury does it, is that they have this jury vote, which is the one I'm talking about and the one I've just described. They also do an online vote, and then they pair them together. I am not considering that online vote because I don't know enough about the Eurojury's demographic. Plus, for me, my more ideal televote thing that I want to use, I think, is OGAE, because it's already done quite well in terms of per country, and you can vote for other countries, etc. Eurovote might do that, but I don't have that information. I just don't want to get into it. So I'm only taking the jury section, which was won by the UK. When you actually put the 2 votes together, Sweden won the overall vote on their website. Sweden came first in the televote and Netherlands came second. I am not considering that. I'm just considering the jury element of it. Okay, let's go through the results, and I'm going to pick at the ones I thought were really, really, because these results are way more, I think, more telling and interesting than the OGAE ones. So first of all, UK winning is just like properly, I really want the UK to do well. I was so happy for them. Like, you know, I've been so harsh on the UK in 2019, 2020, when basically every year that I've done this channel, I've been harsh on the UK, and I feel that has been heavily justified. For me to see this breakthrough this year with I'm absolutely in love with Sam Ryder. I think he's absolutely fucking brilliant. He's so joyous and enthusiastic, and he's just giving it his all, and I pray that he comes through in the final. I really want this to be top 10. I don't want people to get carried away with anything less than top 3 means it's a flop. Absolutely not. UK have been perennially last. Even to come left side of the scoreboard would have been a gigantic improvement, but I think we can definitely start to get excited that this can come top 10. This makes sense for me as a possible jury winner because it's really solid. It's got a really clear British identity. It's sung incredibly well with a lot of skill and a lot of vocal tricks, but it's not like a boring jury person to give your votes to. A lot like Sweden, actually. Funny enough, Sweden 2019, Too Late for Love, that won the jury section of Eurovision 2019. I will possibly go into how predictive Eurovision is later, but I don't know it as inside out as OGAE is, so that's why I haven't talked about that as much. But yeah, UK winning, really exciting. I really hope that this is a good indication that the UK will do well in the jury. Keep in mind now, one thing I would love to happen. So when the jury votes are announced, it's always the country who hosted last year who read the results first. So the first person to give the results this year will be the Netherlands. I would absolutely fucking love it if the very first results in the Netherlands, UK got 1 point or more. 12 would be amazing, but 1 point. Keep in mind that they got 0 points from everything last year. So to them to start on the very first vote with points, I think it would just be hilarious. It would be so brilliant. It would be such a funny way to start the show. Actually, if Netherlands give points to the UK and Spain as well, that would just be fantastic. Second was Italy. I am still thinking that Italy is a potential jury winner. I think Netherlands is up there as well. I just think this has got that mainstream appeal. The one thing I should point out as well is that this year jury, I think they were just told, what's your top 10? I think the actual jury are given a slight brief. This is me speculating, but I imagine that they aren't just like sent into a room. I think they're told, okay, you are the jury, your goal or mission or your function in this competition is to do this. Now, I think whatever they are told, surely they're told something, is going to influence how they vote. If they're told we want you to pick the top 10 most radio friendly, we want you to pick the top 10 that has a strength in musicality and songwriting and vocals, they're definitely given some sort of a brief, and whatever brief they're given, I wonder, does it change from year to year? If anyone actually knows this, I would love to hear, because I've never heard this discussed. What is it specifically that the jury are told to base their votes on? For example, this year, if people are told we want you to give an emphasis on vocals, then Australia and Azerbaijan are going to do really well. If they're told that we want to focus on kind of making a song that's going to apply to young people and go viral, well then Norway aren't going to do as bad in the jury as we thought they would do. So what they're told is really important, and that is a slight disclaimer because that's why these votes might be largely different to the actual ones when they happen. Plus, this is per rehearsal as well. Anyway, second place is Italy. Third place is Sweden. I think Sweden will do well with the jury. Sweden always does well with the jury because they always send something that's very polished, very professional. This is no different. So yes, I don't see why Sweden would suddenly do badly with the jury all of a sudden. It's pretty much guaranteed they're going to be up in the topper levels of that. Now, something that is very more interesting is Ukraine coming fourth. Now, I think people are talking a lot about how this is going to get a very large televote because there is this solidarity with them currently going on in the war. I've already spoken about that pretty much at length in my Ukraine reaction video, but it's very interesting to see that Ukraine came fourth in the jury because I don't feel like there's that same maybe there is solidarity within juries as well, but I don't feel it's that is to some extent. I haven't heard anyone talking about Ukraine as a jury threat whatsoever. All the talk has been about the televote, but this came fourth with the Eurojury. For me, that is really, 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 really interesting. This got a lot of 12s. It got points from a lot of people. There are merits to the song. I think people need to stop underestimating that. This is a quality song, and anyone who likes that folky sound or that rap sound or this interesting fusion or the colors are going to gravitate towards it. It is not just a pity vote. This song does have strong characteristics to it. Spain in fifth, so people, really interesting as well, the jury really appreciating the professionalism and quality of this. I always got to go back to my first reaction after I saw semi-final number one, and this blew my mind. It's really hard to compare different moments in time, but I'm wondering, I remember just being like absolutely fucking wowed. Would that have been enough at the time to put it into my top 10 when it was so fresh? Keep in mind, it's not fresh anymore. I've seen her do that dance routine around 5 bajillion times at this point, so it is so hard for me to undo that like bias in my head. Australian 6, and this is the type of thing that you would see to expect to see high up in the jury, especially if they're given that message that they need to look out for something with strong vocals or musicality to it. This is very likely one of the songs that's going to be competing for a high jury score. Now, this for me is the most interesting thing in the whole thing. Number 7, Belgium. Now, let's be honest, I would say 95% of us are sleeping on Belgium like a motherfucking pillow, because I was not expecting this. And I, even as someone who was following the results I was coming in, I still didn't even process that Belgium were doing so well. And then when I looked at the top 10 and I saw Belgium in 7, I was like, what the fuck? And I actually went back and checked. I was like, oh yeah, actually I've written in all these scores. I just wasn't really processing how well they were doing. But yeah, Belgium coming 7th, that is so interesting. And this is what I'm saying about this poll being like possibly like a really interesting window. Now, it could be completely wrong, but maybe the jury will appreciate this. It's a really well composed song. He's a great singer. It's very different. It's got that R&B feel that nobody else really has whatsoever. So yeah, I think it would be really cool if actually Belgium did do well with the jury and actually Eurojury called it before. In 8th place was Finland. That kind of makes sense as well. This is very solid, kind of jury baity rock pop. You know, you've got to keep in mind that people have to sign up in Eurojury. People's votes are like pretty anonymous, whereas in the actual Eurovision, people need to sign off their names. So you're saying, I am Tom, I am saying this, and people can look at what points you gave. So there is a slight element of people aren't just voting for what they like, they're also like, oh shit, people are going to see what I've written down. It's like when you're voting in an election, but it's a non-secret ballot. Not everyone's going to process that, but some people are going to be thinking about these repercussions. I don't want someone to see that I put down Latvia not high up, and that's why I think that the jury is going to be harder towards something like that, because people don't want to feel like it might affect them or that they might get attacked for their opinion. Unfortunately, that's I don't agree with that, but that is the way it is. And that's why I do think those type of songs like Latvia and Norway need to take into consideration the journey in their performances and like make the jury feel comfortable putting them through, make it look really slick and professional so that the jury can relax and feel, okay, I am allowed to put this on my sheet because I can say that this was a very professional put together performance. In 9th, we had the Netherlands. I thought this would do a little bit higher. Actually, I'm considering this as one of my potential winners for the jury. Now, keep in mind, I have seen the first rehearsals photos, which I thought were absolutely stunning. I am going to try and do a video if possible about that. I'm not sure it's going to happen. I will try and get it done if possible. Now, Switzerland in 10th, again, super jury baity, like a big gigantic worm on a big delicious jury hook. This song is so jury baity, and I've seen their first rehearsal footage, and it looks like they are going all in for jury votes. They want those delicious jury votes. They don't care about the televote as much, and it makes sense to me that this is done pretty well with the jury as well. Norway in 11th, that does give me some reassurance that Norway aren't going to bomb with the jury. I think their televote alone will be strong enough for them to qualify, but it's nice to know that they will probably get some jury points as well, because this is appreciated. Now, big surprise for me in 12th, that was Greece. I thought this would do much stronger with the jury. Surprising that both Netherlands and Greece were much lower down than I was expecting. I thought that these would be way higher. This ties in with my feeling at the time of Eurojury results being released that I don't really feel like this was in the running to win. Since this has happened, her staging is coming in and it looks absolutely utterly sublime. So possibly if people had that information, this vote would have been higher if they'd seen the final performance. But people were just going off the music videos, so that might be one of the reasons that Greece underperformed a little bit. France were 13th. I'm going to go a little bit quicker through these ones now. I'm just going to pick at the ones I think are a little bit unusual. France were in 13th. 14th, Latvia. My God, they went through a big streak as well. There was a streak, I remember this happening, where they got 10-8, 6-8 in a row. They came out of nowhere, they were really getting no points, and then 4 countries. It wasn't like in their OGAE where they just got votes from one country. They got votes from 14 different countries. So there are jury members who are interested in this. I just wonder, that thing I said earlier about when they're signing off their name, will that deter some of the actual jurors? I really hope not. It's fine if people don't like it, but I would feel it's a real shame if people do like it, but they just don't want people to know that they're like, I feel like that's not what Eurovision is meant to be about. 15th was Armenia. Again, a little bit surprised. I feel that's a little bit more jury baity. Portugal in 16th. Now they started really so this was one of my biggest surprises actually, because I thought that this was such a jury friendly song that it would be in the top 10, and actually they started off having almost no votes. They didn't get any points from the first 6 jurors. I remember thinking, oh God, this is not good. They got 112 from Finland, but yeah, this did much worse than I was expecting. And it did make me concerned, because I do feel like Portugal is a little bit more reliant on its jury than its televote. Since then the staging's come out, it's looking more optimistic now though. Serbia were in 17th. Slight concern, I just have general anxiety about Serbia. I'll just be honest, I'm just panicking about it. I'm pretty sure it's going to go through, but if it doesn't go through, my world will end. Israel, slightly melodramatic. Israel in 18th, Cyprus 19th, Poland 20th. I think Poland 20th is fine. I still don't get people saying that this can win. I just can't see it happening at all. I do think its televote's going to be stronger than will it? I suppose this is jury scores a little bit less than I was expecting. Albania 21st, Azerbaijan 22nd. Again, that's slightly disconcerting for an Azerbaijan. Since then, the staging has come out and it is absolutely stunning. So I still think that the actual jury is going to bring the suit. Plus, this is a type of song with such beautiful staging and his vocals being so strong. This is the type of song that people have no problem signing their name against, and people won't want to vote this down, because on paper it is very much what juries are meant to appreciate. So I do think that the final jury score will be much higher than this for Azerbaijan. Austria actually didn't do too bad. You wouldn't expect this to be a jury song, but there was appreciation. It came 23rd. Estonia 24th. I am feeling like Estonia is being less appreciated than I think it deserves. I'm slightly concerned for. I thought this was such a great song. I thought it was definitely going to qualify, but a kind of slightly underwhelming Eurojury and OGAE performance has left me feeling maybe a little bit more concerned with it now. Germany 25th. That's worrying because it's going to rely much more on its jury. Iceland 26th, Malta 27th. Again, worrying for Malta, that is a jury-based song. Its televote, I think, is going to be much weaker. Slovenia 28th, Moldova 29th. Keep in mind, all these countries have points now, but we're all kind of in the 20s, 30s. Moldova 29th, Czechia 30th, Georgia 31st, Montenegro 32. No real surprises here. San Marino 33, Ireland 34. At least we got points this time. We got no points in the OGAE. In this, we got 14 points. 4 different countries. Not good. I just really think I love Brooke. I think she's brilliant. I saw her video when she was leaving her hometown, and she's meeting all the locals, and it's really endearing. She's such an endearing girl. But I just can't see this qualifying. I'll be absolutely shocked. Lithuania 35. Fuck, this is probably my biggest disappointment surprise. I thought that Lithuania was going to do much better. They barely got any points. It was 1, 2, 3, 4 votes impossible, a 2, a 6, a 1, and a 5. Yeah, I just don't think that. For me, this is almost one of the nails in the coffin for Lithuania. They did really badly in OGAE. They got 1 point, I think. And then with the jury, which I would expect them to do much better, they came 35th, third in the running order. I love Monica, would love her to go through, but it's just seeming like there's so much stuff stacked against her. Plus, the staging is pretty much the same as it was in the national final, so she's not really bringing out any tricks. She's going heavily into that kind of classy professional performance, so she's going to need that jury vote big time. Bulgaria 36th, Denmark 38th, Croatia 39th, and then no points from out. Yeah, Croatia are out. For me, that's like zilch jury appreciation, and Romania with 0. So yeah, that's the entire result. So quite a few surprises there, quite a few things. I think the biggest surprise for me is Belgium in 7th, Lithuania in 35th, and UK winning. absolutely brilliant. I'm very happy about that. Last year's Eurojury winner was Malta, who, as we know, ended up coming 7th. But that was in line with the odds and the OGAE. They won. Malta won the OGAE as well. In fairness, Malta's staging was pretty not winning last year. I tried looking back through the previous years. It's hard to find the older results, but the Eurojury did predict correctly that Israel would win in 2018, and they put Duncan Lawrence second in 2019 behind Sweden, Too Late for Love, who did end up coming. Sweden did end up coming second in the jury. Remember, North Macedonia won, and I checked. I think that came around 15th with the Eurojury. So it's not perfect. I never said it was perfect. I just said it's something kind of interesting to see where jury members might skew in the actual competition. Obviously, staging is going to have a big impact on that. We've already seen that this week with some really, really magical staging and some really like slightly flopalicious staging as well. So that's one massive consideration that these people didn't have when they were voting. Okay, that is me over analysing the Eurojury results for 2022 from Eurojury. Please let me know what you think in the comment section down below, and thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the Eurovision reaction video very soon. Goodbye.